We've been joined by special agents here within the agency.
Okay.
So if you want to start from the beginning with what you wanted to talk to us about today, please.
Hi, my name is Kai, aka Omma. In May 2020, I found a predator on Omegle and talked to him on Discord, where he sent me this photo, leading me to believe that he was actually a cop. Not an undercover one or anything, but a police predator. I spent the better part of 3 days at the end of May gathering evidence against him, catching him again on a video call with a girl, and did my best to report it to the authorities. If this story sounds somewhat interesting to you and you haven't already, I highly recommend watching the first police predator video to fully grasp the insane second part that I'm about to get into. September of 2021 was probably the most unique month of my YouTube career. I had every account hacked and my whole family was doxxed entirely. Combined with that and my channel being pretty dead in the water at that point, I was at a pretty low point. I remember reminiscing on times that were, in my opinion, some of the most fun ever, which was May and June of 2020. It was the first time I saw growth on YouTube in any significant way. I basically lived with my best friends for a few weeks, and the girl I liked me back, so I was really thriving in quarantine, despite most people not. While those memories are all pretty non-recreatable, there was one thing I never quote-unquote finished in that time frame: the police predator. Now, I hadn't heard anything from him or of him since the first police predator video ended, so at this point it was roughly a year and a half later. Truthfully, I had no idea what came of anything that I had done, but I was curious as to if I could find him somewhere on the internet again. I knew he used Omegle late at night, but that was over a year ago and could have very easily changed. I decided to take a shot in the dark to find him, and it somehow landed. Gary, the police predator, often used the name Corvette 694. Pretty much for virtually every recent social media he had was under the Corvette 694 name. I couldn't find anything old that I knew of beforehand, so I decided to search Corvette 694 on Snapchat to see if anything popped up, and alas, it did. Upon the search, a Snapchat user by the name of GJ showed up, and almost instantly, I used a fake female Snapchat account to add him. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to put two and two together and realize that it probably stood for Gary Jeffers. I really didn't think it would go anywhere, as probably an old account or something. I mean, he'd been around the internet for a while. He had a Kick account at one point that was made under that name 3 years before I even met him, so he's probably doing this for years before I encountered him. But to my surprise, I was added back less than a day later. Not gonna lie, I don't know why it took me a year and a half to think of adding him on Snapchat with the Corvette username. I guess it just didn't really cross my mind, but holy hell was I excited. I just got a second chance to bust the very guy I had at this point spent a year and a half trying to find again. About a day after being added, we finally struck up a conversation. It all led to this point. I don't have the first bit of conversation saved because it disappeared, and this all happened on Snapchat, so it was kind of hard to save at the moment, but I basically just got his age and confirmed with him that I was 15. He asked to see me, so I sent a fake picture of a girl, and then this was his response: absolutely atrocious, Riz. What are you doing? Watching Netflix with my mom and texting you. Anything interesting? No, not really. We're just watching Paul Blart Mall Cop. I asked to see him again and he sent me this picture. Still looking great as always. Sad to see this one isn't in the uniform though. I told him I liked his beard, and of course the only response to that is, yeah, it would tickle your pussy. It'd feel ticklish, hee while I lick your clit. Yet 1 year later, bro still loves to roleplay. What else, sir? I'd slide my rooster inside after you're real wet. And then I got sent a dick picture, which honestly I probably could show because it looks like a dried grape, so I don't even think YouTube would recognize it as a penis, but for the sake of the viewers, I won't do that to you guys as well. Just know it's very sad looking. The conversation went on for a few more days, so I'll give a little bit more insight to the conversation between the police predator and the girl he believes to 15 before moving on to something I think is honestly more interesting. I'd love having you next to me. I'd love that too. Could feel your body. We could cuddle all night long and keep each other warm. Yes, feel me pressed against you. Yes. You'd make me hard. Ooh, I could feel how wet you are. I would love kissing your body. This carried on for pretty much any amount of time I would give him throughout a few different days. I know this sounds like a fake thing from a movie, but an elite hacker who had been aware of the situation had even gone so far as to dox and hack Gary Jeffers and his entire family. If you don't know what doxing is, it's basically having every ounce of your personal information leaked, including addresses, phone numbers, and passwords. Nor did I intend for this to happen by any possible interaction with this individual. However, even with the entirety of the police predator's information being exposed to me as well as any possible family members he may have had, I still had no new information that could be used to go and expose him to either anyone he knows or the law enforcement. The same brick wall that had beaten me over a year and a half ago had presented itself once again. This dude is 6'2" and 250 pounds. He's basically a human Bowser, and you're telling me no one in this little ass town recognizes him. Now, I've mentioned he's a police lieutenant of some sort, but to clarify, he's not an on-duty officer or lieutenant or anything, so he wouldn't be like the dude who pulls you over. This means he isn't working at any form of police department or building that I can just call up and they'll know him, which makes it exceedingly hard to contact wherever it is that he works. To this day, I still don't know his exact role or exactly what he did wherever he worked. Maybe I should have searched local daycares for him, but I did know one thing. He worked at a particular government building. The problem that I'd faced before is I could find no phone number publicly to get in contact with whatever building that this was at that he worked at. Anything I could find took me through like 30 different government directories with different numbers throughout various states, and I probably called about 50 plus numbers asking around for him, and not a single person was able to tell me anything about Gary or where the position he worked at might be. But then I realized something else. Maybe I don't need to find a number for the building. I didn't have a number, but I still knew where he worked. But there's a staff directory. On the site, there were two main quote-unquote bosses or people who ran whatever this was, and for obvious reasons I can't use his real name, but I was able to find the individual above Gary in the workplace, or well, his boss, and decided to do some research on him. Through legal means, of course, I managed to find Gary's boss's personal phone number. I was pretty ecstatic and I immediately called it, obviously. Looking back, this wasn't very professional. It was like 8 p.m. and the dude was driving home, but he did take up my call. At long last, someone had confirmed they knew Gary. I pretty much debriefed him about the entire situation, and alas, I was finally heard out by someone who knew him. Obviously, it wasn't a great time for him to talk, but he told me to call back a number at 8 a.m. the following morning and they would take a formal statement.
This is Colonel.
Hey, we talked briefly yesterday.
Hey, I'm gonna conference somebody in that's gonna help us with this, okay?
Okay, imagine it's Gary, bro.
Hey, this is my lieutenant, Gary Jeffers.
We've been joined by special agents here within the agency.
Okay.
So if you want to start from the beginning with what you wanted to talk to us about today, please.
I pretty much just informed him of everything that had happened with Gary Jeffers. Stuff you've already heard, so I won't put you through that again.
Do you mind if I ask a few questions, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Do you, and you can obviously refuse to answer any of my questions, but I'm going to have probably 10 more questions.
Oh, that's fine.
Are you prepared to identify the victim of this, the 15-year-old girl, I think I heard you say?
There was no, like, actual victim. We obviously lied when we figured that out. So there is no, like, real victim.
Okay. So he is seeking, is he knowingly seeking or talking to and sending explicit photos to someone he thinks is 15 years old?
Yes, in both instances that I have, actually 3 instances I have saved, he thinks one is 16 and then the other 2 are 15. You know, I mentioned, you know, oh, I have school, things like that. So it's pretty prominent that is age and he's aware.
And you said you have a picture. Is it like a fictitious picture of his police badge, or is it do you think it's his real police badge that you say you saw a picture of?
I have quite a few pictures. So there's one of him in his outfit, and I think he said at the time he was working, so I think he was in his work building, and in the bottom right corner you could see like the first top half of his police badge, which is how I figured that out in the first place.
Now, can you tell me more about these explicit images? Like, I mean, you don't have to go into gross detail, but what exactly was he sending? I mean, I'm just going to ask you straight up, was he sending the dick pics?
Yeah, he was sending dick pics.
So this has been going on from May to present.
May 2020 to present.
Okay, May 2020, over a year.
Yeah.
One more question. Can you tell me in the text, I know you said he sent explicit pictures, in the text, what is he looking for? Like, is he specifically looking for, like, post-pubescent girls? Like, is he specifically looking, like, for 14, 15, 16-year-old girls?
Yeah,
Did he say anything close to that?
No, not explicitly to my knowledge. He said I like your age at one point and stuff like that, but he didn't say, oh, I'm only looking for girls your age or anything like that.
Okay, but he had no problem with her being 15 and 16.
Yeah, he had no issues.
Girls. Are you just a person who's advocating for this type of work, or do you work for a specific organization who does this? I've worked a case before. I'm former NCIS. I worked a case just like this, and it was an organization who would look for predators. Do you work for an organization like that, or is this something that you're passionate about, sir?
I do YouTube, so I just do it kind of, you know, for videos and report what I can. Normally, I don't go this far out of my way to ensure things are good, but I mean, I saw he was a cop, so I kind of put my time into it.
Right. That's awesome.
So, hey, for Kaiser, I just wanted to say thanks for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, no problem.
That one of the reasons I wanted to get agents on the phone is so that we could take the appropriate action. Being the investigative arm of. I appreciate you doing the right thing and bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, no problem, man. I guess the only last question I really have is, so I still have him actively texting an account on Snapchat. Now that it's reported, should I just leave it, or what do you think I should do with that?
So let him keep texting. What we'll do, we'll end up contacting these sites, Omegla and Snapchat, and we'll have them put a law enforcement, lock on his account so he can't close them.
Okay.
So that's one thing we'll do in the background. He won't even know that's happening.
Okay.
So yes, I look forward to your emails. I do appreciate you doing what you do. If this is all works out to be, if he did this, then there's trouble. I can tell you in my previous cases, there's books on the laws. If he believes it's a 15 and a 16-year-old and he's actively engaging with them, that's just as bad as doing it with an actual 15 and 16-year-old.
This was it. I'd won. A year and a half later, I'd finally won. The call went even better than I could have anticipated. They were very kind and cooperative and interested in hearing me out, and seemingly had a genuine interest in investigating the situation. I immediately forwarded all of my evidence to the special agent, and after that, all I could really do was wait. Around 2 days later, Gary had stopped responding on Snapchat entirely. This is also seemingly where my luck ran out. After that conversation, I had absolutely no new information or updates at all. For a month or two, I'd searched Gary Jeffers, Pennsylvania on Google in hopes to find some sort of arrest or him registered in some online system, but that day never came. Whilst I was pretty happy with an investigation seemingly have gone underway, I still wanted something of a conclusion after a year and a half. I decided to reach back out to the special agent for an update, and about 2 months later, I finally got a response, which was this. In other words, I didn't get to know shit. However, I was raised to never give up. I mean, Hitler never gave up, and look how far he got. I devised a 2-part plan in order to figure out what exactly had happened with the investigation myself, since unfortunately, the investigators wouldn't really tell me anything. The first of which was to see if Gary was at the very least fired from his job. Since I had very little information on what he even did on his job, I had to make up a lie that was somewhat believable, but also bizarre enough to get some information. I decided to have my female friend call the building where Gary worked and gave her a story to work with. Upon getting an answer from someone, she had told them that she was recently pulled over and given a ticket with the instruction to call this number and speak to Gary Jeffers, who was the person who quote-unquote gave her the ticket. Understandably, the person on the phone was pretty confused, but after sticking firmly to his story, they informed her that she shouldn't have been given a ticket at all, as A, Gary Jeffers apparently didn't have the authority to give tickets, as well as not being within the jurisdiction that she claimed to be from, and B, Gary Jeffers no longer even worked there. This was all that we needed, so once they put on hold to transfer her to someone else, we hung up. Second part of my plan is considerably questionable, but I needed to confirm the next thing as well. If he was at home safe and sound, or there was a possibility of him either not living where I thought he was, or in hopes that he was maybe in a jail cell or something. Now, something I have not mentioned in these videos is Gary Jeffers actually had a wife that he was married to for most of his life, but unfortunately, she passed away from cancer about 10 years ago. I leveraged having this information and decided to order Papa John's to what I believe to be Gary Jeffers' house. However, I put it under his wife's name and entered a birder phone number of mine when ordering it. The plan was that the driver would give me a call about the situation after refusal of the food, as obviously Gary or whoever's at the house didn't order Papa John's or pay for it. I was. I also assumed that if Gary was there, he would obviously be quite upset at the situation of food coming to his house under the name of his deceased wife, so there'd likely be a visible reaction of anger of some sort. Sorry to the driver who got put to use for my own personal purpose, but I did end up paying for the pizza and tipping. After 40 minutes of ordering the food to what I presumed to be Gary's house, I got a call from the Papa John's driver on the fake number I had set up. The driver said that the man at the door was A, both aggressive, and B, quick to get him to leave. I had claimed to be his son and that this was my dad. However, to confirm, I asked if it was a 6'2" man with gray hair and a bigger build, to which he confirmed. I apologized for the inconvenience and told him I didn't know how food was ordered at my parents' house and why my number was there instead. That being said and done, it was pretty much confirming to me, or as confirmed as it can be, that Gary still lives there. I had all the information I could really need after the investigation. Gary was seemingly fired from his job, and I have no idea what happened after the fact or what it is now, but he's seemingly living a comfortable home life. Unfortunately, as of a month ago on his eBay, he ordered a pair of sunglasses and some jewelry. Hopefully he's not using the jewelry to lure in any more young girls, since he unfortunately didn't face any legal ramifications for his actions. But I guess there's only one way to find out, eh? If I actually go to Pennsylvania and confront him myself. 10,000 likes and I will fly out to Pennsylvania with my friends and confront the police predator in person myself. If you want updates in the meantime, follow my Instagram at @Omma. I post updates regarding Gary there quite often.
Niggas just be talking out they neck, I call that cap space. Shorty with my chicken, not my heart. I said go that way, my ops get to flicking. Oh my god, I wish you back, K.